the cloud. Okay, and let's turn some sharing on. Nope, we want screen two. We'll get this out of the way and put the slides up here. Everybody see it online?
Looking good.
Okay, great. Let me hand the microphones to our speakers this evening. You get a microphone to talk into. Here's
I
one
want
for
a
you.
microphone stand. All right, where do you want me to stand?
Right there's good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, it's okay there if you want. All right, gentlemen, thanks for letting me come. I don't know how many people know me, but you might even know me from just working at HRO. I'm not sure. Steve is my sidekick here. He'll introduce himself shortly.
Yeah.
I got to do this. He'll introduce himself shortly, and we'll do that. So myself, I guess, got licensed in '99. And I don't know if anybody knows about the free band. Have you ever heard about the free band? No. Okay. So we probably aren't going to. You've heard about that? Very good. That's where I grew up in North Dakota. We didn't really have a place to get licensed. So we did a lot of work on 10 meters, but we did it in between CB and ham. So in between 28.4 and 28.0, we ran through that area an awful lot, but none of us were licensed. We were using ham gear, all that kind of stuff. So that's where I got my start. 72, maybe 73 in that range. So a long time. So we're here to talk to you about 1010. And we've got all kinds of things as far as history and stuff. Steve, do you just want to introduce yourself as far as what you do? No? All right. Well, okay. It's just that Steve's here to help me, and he runs international. So we do an international net 6 days a week. We'll talk about that in a little bit. I run a net 1 day a week, and that's on Sundays. So the reason we're here is basically, all right, let me just look to make sure I've done. Oh, and then Joe, I want to thank Joe. He's over here. He did these slides for us. I don't know how to do that kind of stuff. So yeah, more power to you. All right. So just to start out here, I want to just find out where we're standing and where we are at. So I want to ask a couple questions. First of all, who has an operating HF station at their home now? Who has it up and working? So most, well, a good half, maybe you would say, does. All right. How many's made a contact on 10 meters since New Year's? 2, 3. All right, so I'm talking to the right crowd. I'm here. And how many of you have actually heard of even 1010 International, which a long time ago?
Yeah.
So we know about it. Maybe we don't know the history about it, of why it started, all these kind of things, but that's what we're here to explain a little bit tonight. There's 3 simple reasons that I'm passionate about 10 meters. And if you guys, like I said earlier, I work at HRO, so I get these kind of questions all the time. I mean, 3-4 times a week, sometimes 3-4 times a day. But people will walk in and they'll just say, I'm just a tech. I love hearing that. Just a tech, because that's where all of this happens between 28.3 and 28.5. You can talk around the world with some pretty minimal equipment. So number 1, a tech license. That's all you need. Number 2, you can repurpose a CB antenna. You don't need any fancy tower, rotors, beams. You don't need any of this. Just a simple little antenna. And of course, another thing is you don't ever need power. You never need an amplifier. When 10 meters is open, 10 watts is all you need. Hey, the rest of us, we run 100 anyway, don't we? But all you need is 10. And with a small antenna, you'll truly talk all over the world. You can get involved with HF with just your tech license. So that's one of the things I like about it. There's really no restrictions other than cash. You can always get a little mag mount antenna on something. Just stack it onto your car and hook it up into your house. All right. So next, let's say, here's the next reason that I am here for this. And I want to ask a couple questions also. If you guys have made these 10 meter contacts, do you remember the last time that we had a good solar cycle on 10 meters?
10 years ago.
It's been at least 10 years ago, right? Right. So it doesn't happen often. Sometimes they don't even last very long. So they're not all that great. Does anybody have a story of the days when they remember making these contacts? I'm trying to get you guys a little involved. No, that's not going to happen. All right. If it's not going to happen, that's okay. But it's just that I heard stories from early on. As far as I remember the days, we would talk around the world with a coat hanger. Why they would say that, I don't know. We used to light up light bulbs. I know that. We'd try to make contacts just using light bulbs. Yeah, that's kind of weird days. Anyway, the whole thing is that these stories don't happen all the time, and these cycles on 10 meters doesn't happen all the time. But the restrictions are very small to get up there and do it. A 40-year-old radio has 100 watts. A $4,000 radio that I sell down at my shop is also 100 watts. All you pay for is bells and whistles. 100 watts is 100 watts. Doesn't matter. Get an old piece of equipment, get on the air. So basically, the reason that we're here tonight is because when we talk about the good old days are happening right now. 10 meters is open right now. How long? There's some stories it's not going to be much longer. Maybe another 2-3 years. Some people say another 5-6 years. Who knows? Matt just walked in, so I'd like to introduce Matt just a little bit. Matt is one of my success stories as far as I'm concerned. Matt, step up here for a second because you're going to have to speak into this. Matt is a relatively new ham, came into my store, started talking about 10 meters or just getting on HF and things. Matt, quickly, how long have you been a ham and how many contacts do you think you have just on 10 meters?
Just over 2,800 on 10 meters, and I've been a ham for 11 months.
Right. So under a year, he's worked all over the place on 10 meters. So in other words, the level of license isn't important. Most of these have been portable POTA contacts, haven't they?
Yes,
POTA,
all of
SOTA?
them have been sideband. I did not do a single digital mode until I became a general.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, the whole point is look what kind of activity he's gone out there and done in the short little time he's been around. So that's why we're saying it's easy. There's nobody that, can't do it. So I guess I just want to end with saying that now is the good old days. We got a chance right now. And we could have a break of 6 or 7, maybe 8 years in between. Could be as many as 12 or 14 years before it comes back. So jump on it when you can. Be part of the good old days. We've got some slides here that we can go to. First of all, Steve, how long have you been involved with 1010 now?
I'm going on my sixth year, 7th year.
6 years. And like I say, I started in 99. I promote the local chapter, and I have multiple reasons why I like 10 meters over some other things, and we might get time to move on to that later. And then as far as our international net, we're going to let Steve pull a little history on that because he knows a little bit more. Oh, we're at that now. Somebody changed our slide. Steve, if you want to talk about that, is it okay? You can talk from there. Can you turn the camera?
Yeah.
Sure. So Steve, if you want to talk from there.
Well, thank you all for having me tonight. Appreciate it. And for those of you that have come in late, I'm Steve, W7WHB. I'm the director for 1010 International Net, the net director. And a little bit of history about 1010. In the 50s, in ham radio, that's when I was a little kid, 10 meters was a big deal. That's where a lot of the hams used to talk, was in the 50s, was on 10 meters. But as the solar cycle changed and the dynamics of Mother Nature played in, 10 meters started fading out. And there were some individuals all across the country that was trying to save 10 meters because the FCC knew that there was less and less activity going on. And FCC thought about pawning off 10 meters to somebody else who wanted to ban. So there were a lot of individuals who tried to save 1010. One of them was an individual, I don't remember his name, but his call sign was K6PWO, and he was out of Glendale, California. And he decided that he wanted to help save 1010. So he and some of his friends had a meeting and decided to make 1010 International. It wasn't 1010 International back then. It was a 1010 group that is 1010 California is what it was. A lot of people don't know what 1010 stands for. Anybody here know what 1010 stands for?
I didn't either. He just told me that.
1010 means see you at 10 o'clock in the morning on 10 meters. See you at 10 on 10. That's what 10 meters stands for. And back then it was 1800 hours Zulu time, but 10 o'clock was California time. So that's where it comes in, 10 o'clock in the morning. So along with trying to save the band, as stated on our slide here, purpose was to promote activity and good operating practices on a 10-meter amateur band. It was, but it was also to as many people as possible to start using 10 meters again. And so 1010 International was born.
Right. And of course, back in those days, 10 meters was valuable. There was reasons they wanted it. Nowadays, not so much. They want 1.2, 2.4, 4 point whatever. They want the gigahertz now. 10 meters really isn't in jeopardy anymore. But at that time, it was a huge monster band. Think of where it starts. Think of where it ends. Starts at 28.0 and ends at 29.6.
7.
29.7. See, I don't even know. But the whole point is that's a big band. So we were very worried. I mean, I remember something about Australia bidding on some of 10 meters is what they wanted it during an Olympics.
The Navy wanted to take away
Navy.
10 meters.
Yeah, that too. So we did really have a threat back in those days. Well, now we don't so much, but it's still a huge band. What's the reason that the FCC gives technicians that portion of voice and nowhere else? I don't know, Steve. Do you have an explanation? I don't really know either of why they allowed that, but it is to promote you to want to do HF. And like I say, you don't have to study. You don't have to be a general. You can work the world now if you have, if you hold a license. What's our next slide? We've kind of talked about that a little bit. Oh yeah, look at that. 28.0, 20.0. Part of the slide, isn't it? Yeah, see that I thought that came out of here too, because this is another issue of the 1010 news. We still do this digitally. There has been some changes recently, even with privacy issues. It used to be a day where we could look up 1010 numbers. And then somebody got angry, I guess, and somebody didn't want the privacy. So then just because of, who knows, maybe 1 or 2 people, we had to take it all down, and you can't do that anymore. You can get it electronically and it's done quarterly, correct, Steve?
Yes, or you can look it up on the website.
Yeah. Oh, anyone can see it on the website?
If you're a member, you can look it up on the website.
Right, exactly. Yeah. So if you're a member of 1010, so $10 a year, then it's just electronic.
I think it went up to 15. I'm sorry.
I know things like that change all the time. I agree. So I don't know. It could be up to 15, but we were really good about sending up some really good newsletters. And then, of course, I guess it's just kind of getting volunteers to do this stuff is the biggest problem, getting volunteers to actually do it. All right, let's see what our next slide is.
All right.
He talked a little bit about where 1010 came from. As far as, honestly, I never heard of that either. I didn't know that meet you on 10 meters at 10 o'clock. I didn't know that's where it came from. But we have been doing this for quite a while, and we have some pretty extensive records of everything we do. Now, my local check-in myself, I'll talk about right now just a little. I get on average between 28 to 35 people, and that's all local. That's not DX at all. We run a local 10-meter net. If you want to get involved with our 1010 organization, there's only 2 things that you need as far as locally. Vertical antenna as high as possible. When it comes to ground wave, we're not talking using the ionosphere. We're not talking about talking long distance. We're talking local work here. Vertical is the way to go, and nothing beats height. It doesn't matter how much power you have. If you don't have the height up to get around and above what's around you, sure, we'll get you checked in. We'll have you relayed in if that's what it needs. But to really get around the valley, you need that. Now, just as a small little note, I've been working for years trying to get somebody on the west side to be a net control because I want to reach west. We're in the East Valley group, and I don't know, it's not working out. We're just not getting anybody so much on the west side that can hear anybody of us already on the east side. So if you guys have time to stop by K7AZX and just see when our net is, see if you can hear any of us. The farther west you are, the better. That's who I've been looking for. Steve, as far as check-ins on a daily basis, what do you say? How many check-ins on a daily basis have you been
Normally
averaging?
we get probably average about 20 check-ins. Our nets start every day, except on Sundays, at 11 p.m. our time. And it is on the frequency of 28.380. And a lot of people have a misconception about 1010, where it's just you check in with your 1010 number that you attain, pay your membership, and get a 1010 number, and you just check in, and that's what we're about. We're not. What we're about is contacts, making contacts. You do check into our nets, but we give everybody an opportunity to make a contact with somebody that's already on the net. And from that, you get awards, certificates, all kinds of good things. And there are people that check into our nets all around the world. One of my net controllers is in Namibia, Africa. In fact, he ran it today. Today's was his day on Thursdays.
So
So-
there you go. If you want to see if your station ever can catch Namibia, or is that how it's pronounced?
Yeah,
South
Namibia.
Africa.
It's in Southern Africa.
Yeah, Southern Africa. The guy's got an awesome station. I mean, he has to be doing most of the work listening as well as transmitting because that guy, he's got quite a station out there.
And Ron, I made a mistake. It's not 11 p.m. It's 11 a.m.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
There you go.
You know, though, I can tell you stories. I've had many a days where I've ran till 9, 10 o'clock at night, just dark as can be, still talking to people all over the world. It just 10 meters is kind of magical too in the right time. All right. So anyway, yes, there we go. We do have a little bit more coming up as far as awards and things, but let's go to the next slide. All right, our chapter, I guess I talked about that as far as our local chapter. I'll throw in one small little thing about what I was saying as far as wanting to be local. I also at work hear a lot about when poop hits the fan. We all know what that means. A bad storm doesn't mean that. I mean, things fall apart. I don't believe our repeater system is going to handle anything. I think it's going to be a mess. Most of them are going to be down. It's going to be a mess. To have valley-wide communications on 10 meters might be kind of nice if poop hits the fan. I'm not holding my breath. I don't. If that day happens, I'll worry about it when the day happens. But it's just having some valley-wide communications, not relying on repeaters. All right, let's move next slide. Our Arizona chapter, again, I talked about this, but let's see. What does note 20 is our 27th? Oh, yeah. So we've been in 1998 is when we started our chapter. Now, I have no idea how many chapters there are, but honestly, that's another reason we're here. Chapters are starting to disappear. I don't know how many chapters we had at runtime, but it was 300 and some. Now I can't say.
It's less than 50 now.
Is it less than 50? So we're kind of also recruiting 10 meters because we're starting to die. And if you don't promote it, well, you definitely die. So it's just something to think about. This is our particular net. Honestly, Sunday, there's no nets on Sunday. We cheat. We cheat because it's 100 UTC. But it is one of the policies of 1010. No nets on Sunday. So I don't know why we did that. I don't know why we started it. You'd have to talk to the people that were back here in 1998. So I don't know. We have what's called founding members. How many? I think we're down to 3 left. I think we have 3 founding members left. That's it. So recruiting is something I do all the time. All right, let's move on next. Activities, yes, of course, we have nets. They're all over the place. Of course, our database, our ten-ten.org is our national database, and there's nets all over the place. You can check into them any place. Chapters, like we talked about, starting to disappear. Paper chasing, yeah, we have all kinds of organizations, and one of the rules of 1010, you got to be an active member. So it is really limited to active members if you want to, do paper chasing and contests. Normal QSO parties, of course, we have certain contests. We have now special operating activities. Do you know what we might mean by that? What did we mean by that, Steve?
When 1010 is present at Hamfests across the country, Hamfication, Dayton.
Yeah. Okay.
Those are special activities.
There you go. Okay, very good. Next on the line.
Oh, and by the way, there is a 1010 International QSO party this weekend. It is the digital version of 1010 International. So if you like digital, you can get on 10 meters anywhere on the 10-meter van, and you get a hold of some 1010 people and make contacts.
Yeah, my only opinion about digital is that, as far as I'm concerned, it's still radio. It's radio to radio, and there's plenty of room for all of us. If you like digital, there's room for you. If you like voice, there's room. And CW trust me, is alive and well. CW is doing fine. Boy, what's Lucky 13, Steve?
Lucky 13 is when you make 13 contacts with 13 of oh gosh, I forget the original.
Oh, the 13 original colonies.
Yes.
Is that what it is? Okay. So I heard that from over here from somebody. So thanks. Anyway, yes, I mean, we truly try to be as involved as much as all the other bands with the contests and activities and reasons to get up there. So just get up there. I mean, even when you go on field day, so many people have 20 and 40 and 80 meter contests, but then they don't even put anything on 10. So we're promoting 10 meters. That's why we're here. All right, next line. Nets, we're kind of repeating ourselves here, aren't we? I would really appreciate anybody trying to just see if you can hear us, but it's going to make a big difference. Everybody knows the difference between a vertical and a horizontal, the dB loss. No matter how close you are, it's at least 6 dB. It can be as high as 12, but on average, 9 dB loss just because you're horizontal, we're vertical. Once we come off the ionosphere, it doesn't matter anymore. We're kind of jumbled. We're kind of coming down in all kinds of directions. But when we're talking antenna to antenna, if you're horizontal, chances are not good. It's just too much to get over. If you guys look it up, I don't sell them, but SolarCon A99s, you can truly work 20 meters through 6 with them if you want to, but on 10 meters and 15 and 12, thing you can talk around the world with a simple vertical antenna. It's a fiberglass antenna. They will last approximately 25 to 30 years in this sun. Then the fiberglass starts coming apart. The antenna still works the same. It doesn't matter. All right, next slide. All right, that's some information for me. Of course, I'm in Gilbert. Most of all of my people are in Gilbert. That's why I wish we could reach out more the other direction. Just to also say, I didn't start any of this. And I am now the chapter head. I am the holder of the call sign K7AZX. But I wasn't the original. The rest of them have passed away. I kind of got it by succession. And that's another reason. We're starting to pass away. So we're trying to recruit. Steve, any kind of words you want to say? Because I believe you need to be doing some recruiting for your international net as well.
We do. We need to be creative as far as getting 1010 international members. However, Ron is talking about the local chapter here, and something not to be confusing to everybody. To become a local chapter member, you must be a member of the international group first. So
yeah, membership, we should have probably talked about that first, but it's towards the end of the presentation, I guess. Here, hey, we did not practice this guy. With Joe's helped us, and we kind of threw this together kind of quickly. So as you can tell, we're not professionals here. All right, So let's move on to another slip here. Membership, yes. Officially, you get your 1010 number for life. And so you looked up, we have still 1010 member number one is
Number one is still alive. It was created in 1962, and he's still around.
So
all the other single digit 1010 original 1010 members are SKs.
yeah, so we're down to one left, which is, kind of a big deal. But certainly, like I say, if you're interested in 1010, you stop by the International, you can get 10 contacts in just one day. Just stop by a net and you'll get 10 contacts. You send it in. Sometimes I nicely say send in 11, just in case you copied something wrong. Send in 11 contacts. But everything now is website. Rather than copying down information, just go to the website, ten-ten.org. We'll have all your forms there. Our local chapter is just for us. I think we have all the forms on our side too, though, but that's on k7azx.com. And we did a good job. I think we have a nice website. We updated it a couple of years ago. It looks nice and modern. So we did a good job with it. Website registration is for those who. Oh, so yes, that we talked about that earlier, meaning that for privacy reasons, which we didn't like, but for privacy reasons, we had to lock down the website. So unless you're a member, you don't have much access. All right, let's go to another screen. Well, there you go. There is your form. Basically, when we make a contact, we need four things. We always have to have the operator's name, the operator's call sign, at the very least, the operator's state, and then if you have or do not have a 1010 number. So to get your 10 contacts, of course, has to be a person with a 1010 number, but it doesn't matter if he's your neighbor or in New Zealand. It doesn't matter. You just pick up 10. Well, you come to my net, no problem. We'll get you 10 of them in one day. Steve usually can happen the same thing, except his net is a little bit more structured for people to make contacts on purpose. He takes a row of check-ins, then he asks if anybody wants to make contacts, if you need that 1010 number. And then, of course, you go back into contact mode or check-in mode and then back to contact mode. Am I correct?
That's true.
Yeah. So they're set up on purpose just to help people get their 1010 numbers, which is pretty darn simple. You do it in one day. All right, next screen. All right, our mission is always going to be right now just simply finding people that care. It's just, I mean, everybody knows we have 10 meters. It's just, do you really realize how much fun we have up there talking around the world? We enjoy the heck out of it. And it's just, do you need a monster station to make worldwide contacts on 40? Yeah, probably a little power is helpful too. 20 meters, well, catch it at the right time. If you have 100 watts, fighting people are out there with 1,000. It's hard, but you'll get through. On 10 meters, 100 watts, you're a big gun.
Ron,
you're a big station.
I have a question for how many people live in the West Valley of Phoenix? Okay, something that I find pretty good on 1010 International Net is particularly on Fridays. I run the net's 1010 International Net on Friday, and sometimes they'll have I will designate certain individuals to be a relay for me. And quite often, I will get somebody say, "Got a relay for you?" So I'll say, "Go ahead with the relay," and I'll wait till the person is checked in with the information that Ron told us. And come to find out, it will be somebody. I'm in the East Valley. It'll be somebody in the West Valley that is checking in with a guy in Florida to give me the information to Gilbert. So
Right,
it's
exactly.
cool, really. It's kind of neat.
Right, because on 10 meters, it's so much easier for a distant station to hear you than a local. And that's where, if you want to do local communications, I mean, if you're really for distance, nothing beats height.
And many times the individual I told you about that is a net controller in Africa has relayed for me for a station here. So it's really cool.
Yeah. So, all right, let's go on to the next one. Well, there you go. That's our main web page right there. That everything is on it. So I think this one could be upgraded myself. Do we have a slide of my webpage of their local?
The local one? Yeah. I don't have a slide, but
It just We really updated ours. Oh, we'll
I
talk
can-
about that if you guys want to. We'll certainly talk
I'll
about it.
drag the.
It's okay.
this
It's just that
over.
we updated our website. I like it a lot.
So I just pulled up
That's
the
our
members.
Yeah, these are our
There's the
check-ins.
homepage.
So that's our numbers, I guess. Just catch members. Just click on members. No, that's not the one. Map. I'm sorry.
Map.
Watch what happens on map. I thought this was cool. They just kind of rain down, and that's all of our different people you have. But as you can see, we're East Valley. But there you go. We've recruited a few people as long as you live in the East Valley. So there you go. We would like to spread out a little bit if we could. So if you guys are out in this area, if you could hear any of these people, it'd be great.
It's simple. Just go black.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, life is simple when you answer it that way. You're right. Exactly. It absolutely is. Anyway, we're really proud of our website when we rebuilt it. And again, that was volunteer work, 100% volunteer. And I think our international needs to step up. They really do.
They are. They're creating the new website.
Good. All right. So basically, we've gone through it. Does anybody have questions? Does anybody have anything that wasn't answered that you would like to know? Please speak up. No? So everybody's going to go jump on 10 meters. Now, again, how many of us have a vertical on 10 meters? Ooh, we're lacking there. Okay. Well, you know, like I say, his international net, no problem. It doesn't matter what antenna you're using for his international net, but our local net is a little bit different. Okay. So if there's nothing more that you guys want to, Steve, is there anything you can think of you can add on 10 meters?
Not unless anybody has any questions. I can tell you that for the 1010 International Net, I said it's more than just contacts. It's trying to get awards, and if you want a paper chase, that's available to you. But the actual contacts that you make on 1010 is a direct contact with somebody else. So somebody might say, "I'd like to make a contact with." Let's say Ron wants to make a contact with me. He would ask Net Control, "I want to make a contact." Net Control says, "Go ahead," and then he contacts me directly, gives me his 1010 information, and then I in turn will give him my 1010 information, which is the 4 or 5 things that Ron talked about, and that is what a good contact is. And once you get every 100 contacts, you get an award. And there's some people that have over 28,000 some odd contacts. So it's
And then the one guy that
Yeah.
constantly calls on 10 meters all the time, just as he hits his record button all the time. So yeah. Yeah, he's a good old guy. Yeah, we got room for him too. Yeah, a lot of these nets, I can't exactly say. Here we are with ours, but I can't exactly say if how many of these nets are truly active. I don't know, but not bragging, but we hold the record.
we're one of the big ones.
We're what?
We're one of the big ones.
Well, is there somebody that gets more than 30 check-ins and like we do? Yeah. So we just have done a lot of recruiting in the East Valley, and I'm surprised none of you guys have any questions, but truly get up there on 10 meters. Just have some fun. If you want to make DX contacts, it doesn't matter what antenna you have. It'll all work. If you want to make local, that's when it's important to have vertical. So don't worry about that part. All right. The last slide there was questions about new radios or anything that's happening at HRO. Does anybody, I don't even know where are we running for time?
Oh, you're good.
I do have one suggestion. If you could go back to the homepage for 1010 International,
Oh, yeah.
and on the left-hand side, click on where it says 1010 News and see
10
if it
News.
comes up.
See if you
It
got-
does. Click where it says 1010 2024.
Yeah, see if it'll show.
Oh, it's outdated because you're not a member, but it is there for the old ones.
But it won't let them open it up, huh?
No, he has to click on PDF or click
PDF.
on the blue portion.
Well, you don't have to
Oh,
though.
this.
Don't. Yeah.
Scroll down,
Did it open it? Oh, download.
download. Yeah.
Yeah, but you don't have to if you don't want to.
There.
There you
Okay.
go.
Now, if everybody will look there at that logo,
This here.
see where it says in the middle of the circle, it says 10 a.m. PST 28380.
Yeah.
That's why it's 1010. So it's 10 a.m. on 10 meters. It used to say 10 meters, but they've changed it now because originally 1010 International was on 28.800. They changed it because they wanted to get more people involved, which would means the
bring
text could
text.
get in from 28.3 to 28.5
Yeah.
and get more people.
Yeah. So everybody was available. Yeah. And of course, I always thought it was more simple. You have to have 10 contacts on 10 meters to be a member. That makes more sense to me, but hey, anyway, that's the way it is. Anything else as far as this? Oh boy, look at all that busyness. Now, why did we have to pick cats? What did we want cats for?
I don't know why that is.
All right. Whoever designed this.
There is a
enjoys
reason,
cats.
and I've read it, but I don't remember.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess. We should do what now again? Oh, yeah. Yeah. Because like I say,
where?
that's one of my things. I get this all the
Down?
time. People
Okay.
walk in and say, I'm just a tech.
Oh,
Yeah, that
okay.
doesn't mean anything. Just a tech gets all rights to everything as well as everybody else.
We're going to see how many contacts we do here. Keep going. Keep going.
See, we do a good job with all this stuff. These guys are good. A lot of these
There we go.
publications.
Okay, there is the by quarter. There's our daily
How
contacts.
many years ago was that?
15, 20 years ago. But you can see this is one of my quarterly reports, and you can see how many check-ins we will have per day. Now, this was in 2024. Doesn't look too good, but I can tell you the last quarter, the last quarter of 2024, we had over 2,000 contacts in one quarter.
Yeah. So there is
Contacts,
truly
check-ins.
there's a lot of things going up there. And I guess one small thing we didn't mention too is that one of our purposes on 10 meters is because everybody goes up there and spins the band. Oh, I didn't hear a thing. Well, yeah, you got to transmit, you got to make noise. And that's kind of one of our not written rules, but if you want to check out 10 meters, you don't do that by just spinning the band. Get up there and make some noise. Throw out your call sign. Look at it this way. If nobody hears you, who cares? If somebody does, that's what you want, a contact. Get up there and throw your call sign out.
Yes.
Yeah, of course.
You're familiar with WSJT? Okay. If you go on the lower right-hand side where it has the scripts down there at the bottom, the one next to the bottom is one you can fill in yourself. You would put your 1010 number in there and tell it to broadcast it.
Oh, nice.
There's always a tricky way to do something. There always is. That's one thing I say at my work a lot is that, through our ham radio hobbies, we've made a lot of advances. There's a lot of changes that have happened through the years. The biggest change is now we're connecting computers to our radios. Once you connect a computer to a radio, all it takes is some genius software engineer to write up anything you want to do. Here's the magic I always wanted to do with Fusion, and this would absolutely be capable. You just need somebody's software to do it. Your phone has a translator, right? When you go into Wires X, you could contact a node that you would speak in English. The translator would change it into Chinese and go over to the China repeater. And when the China repeater, it wouldn't come back to you. It'd go to the translator. It would be translated into English and then back to me. That's software. The capabilities are 100% there now. So the whole thing is once we put computers in radios, the sky's the limit on what we are capable of doing if you want to. Every radio that does 100 watts is capable of every one of these digital modes. It's the computer doing the work.
Ron, we didn't ask if anybody on Zoom had a question.
No, I guess not.
Anybody on Zoom have a question about 1010?
Well, I'm glad it's up and running.
I would like to say a couple of words here. I
cut down a CB antenna, retuned it for 10 meters about 35 years ago. And I talked to Japan, and I talked to somebody on the West Coast over in San Diego or somewhere, and somebody back on the East Coast. And I tried to talk to people on 1010 because I had heard about 1010 at that time, and nobody would talk to me. I was just blanked out completely. I finally gave up and went somewhere else. So I'm glad to see that you're setting up nets that are welcoming newcomers.
Yeah, and I would also agree that maybe for the 12 years in between the last good cycle and what we're doing right now, we might have dropped the ball. We might have for 10 years kind of forgot about 10 meters ourselves. And that's why we're kind of excited about it now, because it's happening now. And how long, we don't know. And the wait in between, we know that. It'll be a long time before the next time. So yeah, very good. Any other questions? Okay. Any questions about HRO that anybody wants to ask? Oh, go ahead. Caught you at the wrong time.
So 10 meters is dependent upon the sun to be
Yeah.
able to transmit.
Yes.
Okay. So how bad is it for transmitting when it's not the special time of the decade to do it?
Right. Okay. So that is a good question, honestly, because for my local net, it doesn't change a thing. When you're talking direct antenna to antenna, well, yeah, I shouldn't say that. There is some nights that are better than others. There's some nights that are a little noisier than others, but the ionosphere has nothing to do with it. So yes, as far as his 1010 net, when he does his DX contacts from all over the United States, it is very dependent on the ionosphere. Do we have any control over it? No. It's just that right now it's been pretty steady, good almost all the time. So that's the difference when he's taking check-ins from all over the United States. For my local chapter, there's really no propagation when it's antenna to antenna. Did that answer your question?
Partially.
Okay.
When the weather's not good for it, how far can you transmit?
Well, not very far, because as again, in all honesty, 10 meters is no different than 2 meters and 440. It's antenna to antenna. If there's anything in between, you can't fix that.
To give an example, last Thursday, a week ago today, the propagation for 10 meters was just zilch, nothing. I think we got hit by a CME last Thursday or Friday. Anyway, it was
15th
zero.
and 16th.
So we still call our net controllers, who are stationed all across the country and one in Africa. They still call their nets. However, for example, like on Friday, if I don't have any propagation, I still call my net. But we have enough 5 or 6, 7, 8 guys locally in the valley. We'll just have a local net.
Right. And
But the nets are always being called.
All right. Here's another good question though, too. Do you keep your net open for a full hour no matter what?
No.
Exactly. So if you want to find out if you can hear Steve or if there's anybody on the frequency, get in there early, first 15 minutes.
Be on time.
Yeah, be on time. There you go. Yeah.
You're talking point to point, and if you're behind a point, you can go 40, 50 miles.
Let's put it this way. If you put a Chevy pickup truck with a CB modified to 10 meters with a mag mount antenna on top of South Mountain, and you drive down to Tucson and park on top of Mount Lemon, I'll guarantee you can talk to each other because there's just nothing in between. Right. But when you're in town and you have homes, you have trees, you have hotels, you have buildings, height is the only thing that's going to get you distance in town. Yeah. Because we don't have a repeater system on 10 meters. Anybody remember the 10-meter repeater on Tucson?
There's one in Motorola on Elliott and
It still works.
Yeah, that's all gone. Yeah.
It's all gone.
But there are repeaters on 29.6
Oh, there's all kinds of repeaters
back
still
in New
active,
York and
especially East Coast.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
That's a whole nother world, getting up and using FM repeaters
Yeah.
up on the top of the band. But there again, sorry, you got to be a general to do that. So, I mean, really, truly, one of the purposes that I want you to remember is that it's not license restricted to do what we do here. And we changed our frequencies many decades ago to make sure that technicians have the ability to addict them into the hobby of HF. There you go. No questions about HRO or what's new or what's coming up? Any questions? Because there's, well, there's, okay.
7760.
Yeah. Anybody seen the 7760? Yeah. He wants one, except the price tag is a little high.
Yeah, let's take a peek.
Pull up a 70. Well, just go back up to the top. Yeah. And go right up in here and just type in IC 7760. It'll still do it. There you go. Who needs a $6,000 radio?
Everybody does.
All right. I think I'll talk to you guys about this off the screen, but if you, it does, all right. Who actually knows about Sherwood Engineering?
Yeah.
Go check it out, where this radio came in. I don't know why. I'm sure there's an explanation. It's actually number 21 on the list. No, 20. I think this is number 20. The 21 on the list is the 7610, which is already an 8 or 9 year old radio. So why? I don't know. Can't explain it. All I know is Yaesu holds the top spots. Am I spoiled by owning one of those top radios? I'll agree, I am. But boy, it's a beautiful piece of equipment. What we can do with these new things.
There you go.
Yeah, so here you go. Here's the top, the 101D and the MP, basically the same. No doubt that this radio here is honestly just two of these. Yeah, you get a few extra bells and whistles, but it's two of these in there. The 710, the only fault of the 710 is it's made small on purpose. So you're going to have a lot more menus. You're going to have to go through a menu system to get things. The 10 still gives you buttons on front. And then when you learn how to use the jog knob, that's really a nice piece. I don't even know what this radio is. It's
receiver.
It's a simple receiver.
Yeah.
Why these K3s come in so well yet, not exactly sure. No surprise down here in the 7851. That's a very expensive radio. Kenwood. All right, I'll tell you 3 stories about the 3 main manufacturers, and then there's poor Alinco. Alinco's a great company, great equipment. Why it doesn't sell, I can't explain. I don't know. The price is right. It's solid stuff. It's great. Kenwood, approximately 3 years ago, had a fire. Nothing major, but a fire in their warehouse, and they said, "Nah, we're going to retool." So they didn't fix it. They rebuilt. Now, almost 2 years ago, they announced to us that, hey, ham radio, we're not giving up, but it's going to be a while because we're way behind on our government contracts and our commercial contracts. We got to get caught up. We'll be back. I don't know about you guys, but Kenwood has been one of the most solid HF companies I've ever known, meaning that if you want good audio, because, you know, when you build a fancy car and you drive it around town, people go, "Ooh, look at that." All we have is our audio when it comes to our hobby. Nobody sees our shack. Nobody really cares what radio you own. All we care about is the quality of our audio. Kenwood's never been beat. This thing, I wouldn't pay the price, but it is an awesome radio. Really is. Again, Elecraft's come through. The Apaches and the Anons are still there. The D4. Why? Why is the D4 down here below the KX3? I can't explain. You know, when you go to a drag race and somebody has this kind of transmission, this kind of pistons, and that kind of injectors, I have no idea, but I know who finishes first, second, third. Why this comes in here, I have no clue. I don't know. Look at that, the 5000. That's an antique radio. And yet it's an amazing piece of equipment. Again, the K3 coming in, some flex radios, which I love flex radios. I just don't want to own a computer. That's all. Apache again with the Anon. Here we come into the, if anybody's seen the Prius, this is basically a computer radio. 76 or 7760, brand new $6,000 radio. Why? I don't know. If I was ICOM, I'd want to talk to this Sherwood guy and find out what happened to my radio. Yeah, I don't know.
Shifting a little bit to the handheld.
Yeah.
It's
like the handheld market, looking at $700 radio, like a dual receiver, nice handheld, just about gone, and there is. Yeah. Yeah, well, I agree with you that are we maybe pricing ourselves out of the market? I can't imagine who pays $700 for a handheld radio. Oh no. Now you come to my store and you lift up an FT70, you lift up an FT5, you lift up an ICOM or the Kenwood, you immediately can feel the difference. They didn't simply put all that weight in there because it just feels more expensive if it's heavy. That's not the case. They really are amazingly built pieces of equipment. And trust me, I've taken them apart. What's inside is amazing. Yeah, it is. It's truly amazing. And why we aren't coming out with this, you know, I have a little story about the Shack in the Boxes too. I think it's marketing. I think because these radios are selling is why people, or why they're making them. I mean, in all rights, why make a $250 radio and sell 100 of them if you made a $750 radio and sold 20 of them and made the same amount of money? I mean, I don't know if that's the case, but they are getting expensive, very expensive. So entry-level radios. Yeah, well, there again, there's a reason for dual receive being expensive because truly everything inside has to be duplicated. Yeah, and not all radios are created equal. Some of them are even simple or simultaneous receive, and so there truly is completely two radios in there, two separate receivers, two separate transmitters. That's money. All right, we got a question from the.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Robert. Robert, did you have a question?
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't realize I was unmuted. I just ordered dessert for my wife. She's cutting me up an apple.
Oh, okay.
Gotcha.
Can I just, I've been a 1010 advocate and a member for a long time, but I never check into the state or you guys' net because I'm in Yuma, Arizona, and it's going to be, you know, horizontal versus vertical that way. And, but that's it.
For Steve's net, that won't matter. For Steve's net, if you get relayed, if somebody hears you in Pennsylvania, they'll relay you back here if that's what's necessary. No problem.
I do have a 1010 vertical. I mean, a 10 meter vertical antenna, but getting it up in the air is a different story.
Yeah. Well, do what you can. Get radioactive.
I'd love to get back radioactive. So many people have been injured trying to recover. So,
okay. All right, Jim. The FX1.
Oh,
or the FT1X, I guess. The FT1X is what it really is. We do have a picture of it up. All right, we were kind of once earlier. All right, that's not it. What is it?
Not it.
All right, try FTX1. FTX1 then.
FTX1.
There you go.
There.
Okay, this is the latest, greatest that everybody's talking about, and we've been waiting about forever. It basically looks like the 500.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. I'll let
discounted.
Just because you guys came tonight, I'll give you a little. Well, all right, that's reservation. So what it means is if you buy the $35 reservation, the reason for that is we don't know the price. They have not told us. As far as we know, it hasn't even gotten FCC certification yet. But that gives you a list that when we find out the price is, we call you, and then you get on the list for first, second, third, or 110th. I just looked this up recently. I have 670 reservations for this radio. So there's a lot of people that want it. A little bit deeper, but I'll let you guys in some inside information. That's not all that's going to be offered. The interesting thing about this radio is there is going to be a specially designed tuner as well as 100-watt amplifier for it. Now, the dollar figure, You might want to get a Cadillac instead, but still, the price isn't going to be good. But when you get all three pieces, we'll see. They're going to sell it in 3 different packages. Right now, we're hoping for Dayton. We're hoping they're holding off. I was telling you earlier about Alinco, great company, Kenwood, just behind right now. ICOM and Yaesu has never been more secretive and more quiet than I've ever seen. ICOM isn't talking right now. They're not even telling us anything. And Yaesu, the last 3 radios that came to my store, nobody told me nothing. They showed up in a box, and it's just like, what is this? I didn't even, all right, does anybody know about this ASP stuff? ASP is truly just a DSP for your squelch tails, as well as if you're doing simplex, it's amazing. If you got a full quieting repeater, who cares? Not much, and it can be added to these radios. You buy a regular non-ASP and you decide down the road you want ASP, $60, you can put it in. Yaesu thinks it's a huge, big deal. We'll see. We'll see. The one with ASP and the one without ASP, which is just an audio signal processing. It's a DSP chip. That's all it is. Yeah. A little thing just to make sure you know about DSP, you know, a lot of people will turn on your noise reduction systems and it's just like, man, what does it do? I don't hear it reduce that much noise. You got to realize that your DNR systems now is a comparator system. So in other words, you got one side and the other side. And if you're hearing gray noise, atmospheric noise, whatever you want to call it, and the other side is hearing atmospheric noise, the DSP doesn't know what to do. Once it hears a signal, an audio signal, it says, oh, you want to hear this, but you don't want to hear this. Oh, I get it. When you get these new radios, you watch the audio scope, you can see it just narrow right down. And of course, if no words are saying, you can see it open it right back up again. You got this shh, but once somebody talks, just narrows right down. The new DNR, and it's just amazing. And I also recommend just use auto. Let it do it all by itself. You know how you'd adjust this and adjust that. No, it sounds better, but now you sound like Donald Duck, and those days are gone. That don't happen no more. But you got to spend the money to get there. That's the problem. I agree. I don't like it either. We are getting rich. All right. Any other questions? I don't know how much time I have, but we're running. See, we're running late. I have a couple questions for you guys that are not for you guys, but for basically the ARI. I would like to hear your opinion on this. And I could do a whole nother meeting just on tuners. I hate antenna tuners. I hate everything about antenna tuners. In a perfect station, nobody should own one. So, all right, here's the other thing I wanted to make a comment. We talked a little bit about how effective will our repeaters be if poop hits the fan. I don't spend much time thinking about poop hitting the fan, but I'm wondering what our repeater system will be like. But here's the other thing. I hear this at my shop all the time. How come there's 40 repeaters in this valley and none of them have traffic? I never hear a word. So why do we have 48 repeaters in this valley and no traffic? But I hear it all the time at my job. Now, you guys, your normal hobby, you probably never hear that. Think of people, but think of people that are new to this valley, visiting this valley, brand new hams, and they see this list of 40 repeaters. They program every single one of them in there and they scan for 3 weeks and they hear nothing. They're right. And I'm not saying I can fix it. Yeah. I'm not saying I can fix it or I have the answer. All I'm saying is that I hear that a lot. What is the busy repeater in this valley? You know, I would agree with that too. I've heard a lot of the 220 people talking about that right now. They're trying to promote their 220 because, yes, I've heard no shortage of people say, I listen to 220 all day long. I don't hear a thing. Right. You don't hit the PTT. It is the truth.
People on their phones too much. That's the biggest problem. They'll have the radio on and they're playing on their phone.
Well, maybe so, but like I say, I mean, guys. Right. And so we do tell them about the Rim and the Metrolink. Those are the two that we tell them is more likely you're going to get a contact if you just simply throw out your call sign. Those are the two.
They also hear that noise on 525 and some of the other repeaters. And a lot of people stay away from it.
Well, I think the real complaint is that what I hear at work, I think there's all kinds of reasons, but what I hear at work is, why does Phoenix have so many repeaters and they're not used? And like I say, I can't answer it. I actually think that the repeater community has been too generous. Yeah, there you go. Yep. A 32 of them or so. Yeah. I personally have a friend that I know has 7 repeaters at his house, and his coverage is no more than about 6 blocks. So is it okay they have that? Yes, I would agree that it's okay they have that. It's the new hams, the visiting hams that ask, what's the busy repeater? And so our best answer, yes, Rimlink and Metrolink.
What?
Yeah. Yeah. We are 3 million people here, and our repeaters aren't very reused,
It
really.
needs to be recorded, coordinated.
Yeah. Well, I don't think a lot of us would disagree that we're okay with them going away, but we do know that's not an easy thing to do, because as soon as you take it away, then they're going to be contacting you. Yeah. Yeah. It sure is. My little rule on that is that you do not need to support all these different groups. Just support the repeater you use most. Then you should have the right to use any repeater you want, but just support the one you use or depend on. Yeah, yeah. Closed. Closed, yeah.
There's still nobody on
Yeah.
There's a lot of closed everybody.
Yeah. So, well, we just like to get out and cover some distance too. We like the idea that our signal is, yeah, covering some good distance. You know, link systems are starting to go away, and I'd like to see more of them come back now that it's all this internet stuff, but yeah. Yeah. All right. So very good, guys. I think I've taken up most of your time, but I will say one thing I've learned in this hobby. When I went to HRO, I really kind of thought I knew my hobby. I really thought I knew what I was doing. Then I got to HRO and find out that I have to know everybody's hobby, everybody's radio, everybody's antenna, and how to fix it. It's not easy. Well, boy, that's a pet peeve of mine too. You know, when people look for Elmer's, if someone has done it once and you've never done it, he's an expert. You don't need the most smartest person in the world to teach you how to do something. Just find the guy that's done it once and then copy him. Yeah. And this hobby is truly full of, it's not what you know. If you think you're smart and you know it all, come work at HRO and you'll learn that you don't. But the whole thing is that it's really, this hobby is who you know, not what you know. We get things done by who we know, by networking. We started texting people before anybody knew what a cell phone was. We've been doing this forever. Social distancing? Are you kidding? We didn't care during COVID. We went right on with what we did. So just realize that the people around you are really more valuable than you probably think they are, because that's how we get things done. So just kind of remember that. And
that's how I surprise you, Ron. Ron will be running the net on the 1010 chapter on Sunday nights, and he'll say, does anybody have any news or anything? And I'll give him news all the time because I know a lot of people. And he'll say, Steve, where do you get that info?
But you know,
I know a lot of people.
yeah, and you've been out there. I mean, you're out there pretty much every day. Yeah, he's devoted a lot of his time to 1010. And, you know, in all honesty, we need other people to step up, take over so that we don't get burnt out and want to quit. Because that happens in a lot of these clubs. You ask one guy to do it all, period of time, he'll quit. Got to get out there and help. All right, tuners, I ain't going to get into that because you guys would be here a whole nother hour and a half if I got into tuners. But it's just that it's simple, guys. Most situations, you don't need a tuner. The reason people use tuners is because, hey, when you live in an HOA and you can't put an antenna the way an antenna wants to be, well, sometimes you got to make up for it with a tuner. But tuners are not tuners. They do not tune anything. They're impedance matching networks. That's all they are. If you have loss in your antenna, if you have loss in your coax, you still have loss in your antenna. You still have loss in your coax. The tuner does not help that. But that's a very technical thing. I could spend a whole nother night on that. So, all right, guys, if there's no other questions, I'm happy to step down. I want to appreciate Steve, most of all, coming giving me support, and Joe for giving me a slideshow, and apparently James for doing everything else.
You're welcome. And thank you for coming to present.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ron and Steve, for coming to present. And next month is open. So unless, yeah, you want to come back and talk again? If you'd like to come back and present on tuners, you're more than welcome.
I'll certainly give it some thought, but that was something I'd have to come up with.
Okay. Yeah, so maybe next month will be Ron back here talking about tuners. Maybe June, if not May.
Yeah, I'll try to definitely make a presentation and try to do something about tuners, but I'm not going to be ready next month.
Okay.
I really think it helps when you have some kind of.
Yeah.
So.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I should work on it.
Sure.
I'll get with John.
Okay, that works. So yeah, I'll try and find somebody for next month for May. And if not, I will yank a subject out of the air and come talk about it. So thank you again. And thanks for everybody coming. And we'll see you next month. Take care.
All right. Thank you. Bye.